Hello again, I am Blunty and welcome to Blunty's More Than Tweet-Worthy Nerd News. Titled to be trimmed down or decided. Basically, I just wanted to have a little show or video format or something that will allow me to talk about some of the stuff I wanted to talk about, but either wasn't interesting or in-depth enough for a full video on its own, but I also wanted to say a bit more about than a tweet or two would normally allow. So here we are. So if you do like what I'm doing here today, please give me a thumb up and drop a comment down below. What do you think of I think the name's too long. We might need another name for it or something. A bit catchier. But I feel like This Week in Nerd News, which was my first idea, that's a bit stale. There's a gajillion This Week in Verb kind of shows and podcasts and stuff out there. But anyway, let's kick off. Whenever I've done videos about VR, whether it be the hardware or gaming in general, and the progress VR is making and the evolution of the technology, there's always at least a few comments about, waiting for the day where we can get a Sword Art Online style VR where you just put a helmet on and you're in the game. Well, this isn't that, but the headline I saw did compare it to Sword Art Online in that it is a JRPG style online RPG. Now, the people who are making this never actually use the word MMORPG in their press release or anything like that, but it seems very much like that in the way to describe it. Online RPG says to me MMORPG, but maybe it's a limited size group up or something just for the sake of getting this thing around, because obviously VR is a little bit tougher to run than a traditional game, requires more horsepower, so maybe there's instead of having dozens or hundreds of people in the same area, maybe that's a bit too much to ask for the system they've got in place for VR. Either way, it seems to be online multiplayer JRPG style VR game. First person, obviously, because it's VR. Although that doesn't go without saying. There are third person VR games, platforms and stuff. They're quite fun. It works surprisingly well. Anyway, we have seen MMO VR games to this point. There's a couple around. I've tried them. They're not spectacular. In fact, I would go as far to say they're wildly frustrating and janky and clumsy. This, though, judging it based on the trailer, looks to be quite spectacular. It's got a beautiful art style, very, very JRPG inspired. It also has some exciting stuff like what seems to be freeform base building, in that you can build your base however you like it from, walls and panels and roofs and stuff like that, like you see in games like the Ark Survival Evolved and that kind of, Rust and whatnot. Hopefully their building system works a lot better than those two games because they're shite. It's called Nostos, and it's not the first time we've heard about it. It's actually been listed on places like Steam and stuff for a while. This news came out of HTC and their presentation at ChinaJoy 2019. ChinaJoy is kind of like E3, but for the Chinese market, in case you're curious about that. I'm going to read you a segment from their press release here. Nostos, an open-world role-playing game, RPG in brackets, from the Chinese tech giant NetEase, is going to launch on Viveport in Q4 2019. That's the bit of new news. We're getting it by the end of the year. Before now, we had no idea when it was coming. They've been pretty tight-lipped about the whole affair, as far as details and launch and all that kind of stuff. It will have a massive world that allows multiple players to explore, fight, build an abundance of biomes. Build in an abundance of biomes, not build the biome itself. Build in an abundance of biomes. Let's get that straight. From open grasslands to mysterious coral seas. So lots of different places to build, and just it looks very exciting. It's going on my watch list for sure. Now, like I said, this news did come out of HTC, their presentation. Of course, they're not going to mention other platforms, but importantly, it didn't seem like this is one of those timed platform exclusives that you sometimes see on HTC's storefront, Viveport, for their system alone. So, fingers crossed it just gets an open release so I can just get it on Steam, because I don't like using HTC's storefront, mainly because I don't have a HTC device at the moment. So, An article that was published on independent.co.uk. Headline is Millennials Suffer Load Rage when download speeds are longer than a minute. Basically, this is all about a survey of more than 2,000 smartphone users conducted by OnePlus, one of the bigger names in smartphones that aren't Samsung or Apple. But the survey found out that smartphone users aged between 16 and 34, otherwise known as smartphone users who never really existed very long in the era of dial-up internet, unlike some of us, I just turned 42 the other day, wish me a happy birthday. But these millennials are 5 times more likely to lose their temper when they have to wait for something to load. The other major frustrations these millennials listed in their daily lives are things like not having access to free Wi-Fi when they're away from home, and having to wait for a delivery to arrive. In other words, what we already knew from just looking at comments on sites like YouTube in that millennials have very tiny attention spans and can't stand to wait for anything at all. At least once or twice on every review video I ever do, there's a comment that says, well, why do you talk so much? Shut up, stop talking so much. It's a review. It's about delivering information, you buffoon. Of course I'm going to talk through the entire thing. I mean, admittedly, that is a complaint I've had since my earliest teens, in that I'm slightly more verbose than is absolutely necessary. And I used to get teased about being a walking dictionary because my vocabulary was wider than the average, 13, 14, 15-year-old. But I didn't really see that as a problem. Being smarter and knowing more words and stuff than other people, I didn't think was a thing to be ashamed of. But I did grow up in the era where being a nerd was cause for bullying. Unlike today, where people wear the badge nerd with pride. And people like Ninja, video game nerds, are as famous as sports ball players. I've gone off the topic a bit. Moving on. In camera news, I came across an article on Petapixel, which showed a rather interesting project of an Iranian guy. Now, let me read his name so I can get this right, and hopefully I'll get the pronunciation close. Any Iranians in the audience, feel free to correct me. Alireza Rostami. That's already sounds wrong. Doesn't sound very, I don't know. Help me. I'm no good with names. But murdering his name aside, what he's actually done is really fascinating. He had an old computer, an old PC that sort of gave up the ghost, and he thought, well, what am I going to do with this? Throw it away? Seems like a waste. It's a classic piece of technology. I know. I'll tear it apart and turn it into a camera with a bunch of other circuit boards and bits and pieces from that sort of era of computing. So that's what he did. Now, cameras are surprisingly easy to make. Basically, all you need is a dark box, lens on one end, photosensitive material on the other, whether it be film or some sort of photosensitive treated paper, or silver halide coated mirrors and glass and all that kind of stuff. You want to go all the way back, or even a digital sensor. You could do this with enough effort. But yeah, he just sort of built this great big box camera out of old computer bits and pieces, and sort of made some effort to make it look kind of cool and everything. A little sort of fan as a viewfinder kind of idea on the top of the camera, things like that. I'll link to the article and show some pictures here and stuff as well. But it just was a fascinating little project, and something I've been, I occasionally think about doing that sort of stuff with old technology and sort of consoles that are broken and stuff like that. Because like I said, making a camera is actually surprisingly easy. There's just the basics of camera obscura kind of style thing is remarkably easy. But yeah, laziness and motivation and easily distracted means I haven't done it yet. But here's someone who did, and it looks fantastic. Na 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 na. In cosplay that caught my eye this week, Sayuri Ozaki, and I probably murdered her name as well. I'm slightly better at the Japanese names than I am with the Israeli names, but I still think I probably murdered her name. Anyway, some beautiful, beautiful cosplay work from this woman here, and the most interesting thing about this story is she's 50. This is where I fly into a jealous rage that someone 8 years older than I can look 20 years younger than I, for two main reasons. Number one, superb makeup, and number two, Japanese women just sometimes don't age. You notice that? Na 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 na. In news of a more directly personal nature, last week on the channel, if you haven't seen them already, only 2 videos went up, but they're both worth watching in my personal opinion, even if I have to say so myself. The first one of which was a review and complete breakdown and an opinion piece on the Elgato key lights, which I am lit by right now, there and there, amongst some other lights and stuff like that. And they're quite good. Worth watching the video all the way through. Don't just talk about those lights specifically, but why you would choose those over others, what other lighting options you can use and why, and what you need to look for in lighting and all that sort of stuff. So if you are a YouTuber or content creator or streamer or whatnot starting out, it's worth seeing that. You can pick up a few little tidbits of useful information outside of it, and you might even convince yourself to buy the key lights because they are useful for a very specific use case, and it might just be yours. Also, and you've only got a few days left for this one, a giveaway going on combined with a sponsored video from WD, but it is a sponsored video that is not just, hey, look at these fantastic products. They're fantastic because they're paying me to say they're fantastic. It's a helpful video for you newbies out there who are a bit worried about the process of putting more storage in your computer. It's basically a really simple and easy and demystifying guide on how to upgrade your hard drives. On the secondary channel, which many of you might not even know about because I don't plug it very often here, because the second channel is basically only for stream replay uploads. I stream live on twitch.tv/bluntnate every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, almost every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I miss them because live things are hard sometimes with life getting in the way, or you get sick, or you just have something else to do, or you're traveling or whatnot. Anyway, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my time. If you go to the Twitch channel and you scroll down, there is a schedule panel which will hopefully properly work and automatically convert the stream times into your local time zone automatically based on your computer's clock. It's really helpful. But yeah, coming up on the secondary channel right now, youtube.com/bluntnate, same name as my Twitter handle, same name as my Twitch handle. Replays of my Dragon Quest Builders 2 playthrough. That's a fantastically fun game if you haven't played it yet. If you haven't played the first one, play that as well. You don't need to play the first one to play the second one. You can do them in either order. There are free demos available for both those games if you just want to try them out without any money. I do recommend it. Anyway, so that's going up. And as always, the Minecraft live stream replays are going up on the secondary channel as well. In both cases, they go up in sort of 2-hour-long chunks, so they're easier to digest on YouTube as opposed to the 4 to 6 to 8 hour sort of single chunk streams that I usually do on those days. And they're all belonging to playlists and stuff, so you can check it out. So if you're looking for something to sort of just chill out to, have on in the background and enjoy while you're doing other stuff, I highly recommend my own streams for that because they are pretty chill and relaxed. And we have some good discussions about all kinds of stuff. Quite often anime and food and other kinds of stuff, I guess. And finally, I decided I want to cap off each one of these sort of segment-based shows with a gear I want and or need. Usually it's going to be want, and it is want in the case of this because I certainly don't need it. I have enough cameras. Can't believe I said that out loud. Who can ever have enough cameras? Anyway, Sony have just released their new RX100 Mark VII, which adds some things I've been begging for on that series of cameras for a long time. I've had several models of this camera. Personally, I've had the Mark II and the Mark IV. I also got to review the first one and the third one. I don't think I reviewed the other ones after that. But anyway, I've had hands-on and extensive use of at least 2 to 4 of these cameras, depending on how you want to count extensive use. I had the review cameras for a few weeks. Anyway, the Mark VII, want it. Flip up screen so I can see myself, important when you're a one-man band YouTuber like this. But most importantly of all, there's finally a microphone port on these things. So you can plug in a proper microphone, whether it be a lavalier microphone or a shotgun type microphone or a wireless microphone, which would be incredibly handy as well. And not only that, they've included some of the new focus features from their higher end Alpha series cameras as well. So the focusing works better than ever. So yeah, absolutely no need for this camera, but I want it because everything I've been asking for in this camera has finally been smooshed into it. So it's fantastic. I actually still use my RX100 models as well. I have one of them set up on this. I can't show you at the moment because it's not hooked up, but I used it for a top-down desktop style thing in a video alongside this camera. And the other one is set up on my VR machine. It's the camera I use into feed its output into a capture card for the green screening, the VR stuff I do, because it's much better than using a web camera for that purpose. So yeah, RX100 Mark VII. Want, not need. Thank you for watching. I am Blunty. I will catch you next time. Pop the stuff in the down below area. Tell me if you like this segment of show. I think it could probably be tightened up a little bit. This felt a little bit long. Then again, my signature style is to ramble on a bit, especially when I'm working without a script and I'm just ad-libbing everything like I do these ones, because I feel like that delivers a bit more energy